something we all need. Gotta have it now if you wanna succeed. Striving, surviving, that's no doubt. Sticking together, we gon' find a way out. To all you young people, give it your all. To all you young people, give it your all. To all you young people, give it your all. To all you young people, give it your all.
Good afternoon, the back community. Thank you as always for staying involved. Thank you for staying engaged. Tonight, well, first, even before I get into our formal introductions, I want to say happy Women's International Day. I know it was yesterday, but also Women's History Month is this month of March, which is why we definitely wanted to highlight only female interviewees this month, because you guys deserve to be recognized, and the whole month is for women this month of March. But today's guest that we have for the back community is going to be Miss Tracie and Takora from the South End Children's Cafe. So thank you guys for being on the back community, and I can't wait to dive into your stories today.
Thank you. We're so excited.
All right. So this dynamic duo is part of the South End Children's Cafe. They're in South End, in the South End community of Albany, New York. And I've gotten a chance to know Tracie a little bit through conversations. Takora, excuse me, I'm going to learn more about you today as well. But the very first question I want to go ahead and give you is an opportunity to tell the back community more about yourselves. So I know both of you guys are there at the South End Children's Cafe, but actually, Tracie, I'll start with you. What kind of work do you do, and how do you get involved with the work that you're currently doing?
So thanks again for having us. So I'm the founder and director of the South End Children's Cafe. We're in our 7th year, which is really exciting. And we're located right in the South End of Albany. I am an Albany girl. I've lived here for 58 years and graduated from Albany High School and the College of St. Rose. And actually, as a child, also lived with my mom and at times with my dad in the South End of Albany. I grew up in a community and at a time when people really took care of each other, looked out for each other, looked out for each other's kids, and just really helped each other. And that value and love and community just stuck with me for my entire life. And so when we opened the South End Children's Cafe, we really wanted to create a place where children could come and have dinner in a cafe style setting, so that it was more about sitting down and figuring out what we have in common rather than what's different, kind of getting rid of those barriers of the server and the person being served, and just, sit down, break bread, have fun, have good conversation, and have access to healthy food that's affordable and accessible. And so that was what our hope was for the South End Children's Cafe. When we opened in 2015, we didn't know what to expect, but what we found really quickly was that we're all together, we could create an environment where kids could just be kids and have fun and have a healthy food, and where we could all get to know each other and take care of each other. Nice.
And that was one of the things that I found out early about the organization itself. I want to say a mutual friend that we have, I know that she's a supporter of the cafe as well, but a friend, Claudia, had told me about this great organization in the South End. She's like, Ty, you have to look into them. So of course I did. And then we later found out that we have another friend in common, Councilman Johnson there for that. So, but yeah, you guys are doing significant work there, but I know we're going to dive into more of that. But first things first, Cora, I'm coming to you as well. Please tell me what your role is there at the South End Children's Cafe. How'd you get involved in the work that you're doing presently?
Yeah, so I currently am the Director of Communications here at the South End Children's Cafe. I handle a lot of the social media stuff. I handle the newsletters. We also have a volunteer program, and I also am in charge of that. And I got involved in nonprofit actually through Tracie. So I know her son. I played basketball at St. Rose, where I graduated in 2020. And I got in contact with Tracie last year. So I've been here for about a year or so. And then I just fell in love with the community, fell in love with the job, fell in love with the cafe. So I'm here to stay for a while. And yeah, I actually am not from the area. So I grew up in Boston. So I was out here for school, and I kind of just love the environment of Albany in general. So I moved out here last year.
Okay. Well, we have one of Albany's own who's actually out there in Boston as well. Have you ever heard of Boston While Black?
I haven't.
Okay, it's a really, I mean, their member base is huge. And the person who started it is actually a person from out of Albany named Sheena Collier. She also does the Collier Connection, but one of the bigger things, they have a platform where they talk with the mayor, all of the local council individuals, but they put this platform together to highlight more of a cultural diversity there in Boston that isn't always recognized. But I'll be sure to send over that information too. So whenever you do go back home, it might be a great network to tap into. But we are thankful to have you here in the Albany community, more specifically in the South End area, because there's so many different projects that are going on there in the South End. There's so much revitalization that's going on, and we need young, energized individuals who care about the community. And so the one thing I've always learned, even since I was younger, was that it doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter what color you are. It matters the size of your heart, and it matters your intent to be involved and to be engaged. So thank you for being a part of the South End community. And I'm sure Tracie is probably very, very blessed and happy to have you there.
Right,
So,
Thank you.
Takora was our first hire. We didn't have, we had no funding for about 5 years. And we just were sort of going month to month. We'd get some donations in, we'd buy our food, we'd feed the kids, and so at about the 5-year mark, we were really kind of looking at, can we continue? Are we going to be able to continue with the Children's Cafe? And we received some money early on in COVID, and started receiving more money in COVID because we stayed open when COVID hit. We'd never closed. And so my background is in communications. I also have a degree in communications from St. Rose. So the first person I knew we had to hire was a communications person, because that's really important. And so the addition of Takora has just been incredible. She's multi-talented and just brings so much creativity and energy and ideas, and just another layer of kindness and love to the cafe. So it's a really great. I was so glad when she said yes.
Nice. And it's one, thank you guys for your service, for staying open during a global pandemic that affected all of us, and to provide the services that you guys are providing there, obviously is essential. But it also just helps to sew in that common thread that we're all in this together. Yes. So, I want to say thank you personally for continuing to serve and providing a space and an environment where not only where people can learn. So I love the fact that you said earlier that, the individuals can come in and eat cafe style, right? Mm-hmm. One of the things we learn through socialization is that we learn a lot about one another by the foods that we eat, the music that we listen to, the movies that we watch, and then sometimes just being present in an environment that is open and invites difference really does provide a space for people to come together. So, like I said, from everything that I've seen and heard about the program, it is truly dynamic, and I love the core principles of it. I think I was in Morocco in 2001, and food and music was one of the ways that I communicated with the other international students there. And it was just like, I might not be the best at speaking Arabic or French. Mm-hmm. I can do a little bit, but food and music was a way that we used to connect. And it really did help me to bond in a different culture that, was foreign to me at the time. And I'm sure that is the same type of atmosphere that you create there at the South End Children's Cafe as well, because let's say for some people who might not have gotten a chance to go out to a restaurant or experience a cafe style dining, but to be able to have access to that on a day in and day out basis is really, really dynamic right there in the South End.
Thank you. I just want to share that another, as you were talking about, food bringing us together and also being an equalizer, it also is a divider. And with all of the inequalities, that we continue to see, you can see how food and food access can divide us. But the other thing that's really important to us, and I can just speak for myself, is when you're a child and you're on the receiving end all the time of people's charity and gifts, and you are the receiver, there's an element of shame to that. And shame is powerful, and it stays with you. You remember some of those experiences. I remember those experiences. And it always made me sad that, there had to be that element of shame for children, for adults, just because we needed some help or we needed something. And so it's really important here at the cafe that we just are all together. And, you don't sometimes know who our parents are, who the volunteers are, who the kids are, who the kids of the staff is, so that's super important to me, is to try to break down those barriers and just, bring us all together and try to figure out how we can impact equality and justice.
Nice. I love it. And just a little bit more of a background for me. Is there a particular age population that you guys serve there at the cafe? Has it expanded? I know you have expanded over the years, but what's the age population that you guys typically work with, or is it encompass of the entire community?
Want to take that?
Yeah, sure. So correct me if I'm wrong, Tracie, but I think we kind of focus more so on ages around 6 to 12. Those are kind of the age group of kids that we kind of work with. In regards to like feeding the community, there's no direct age group. So we have like outdoor cupboards that people are welcome to come and grab. We also have some events that we have, like we had an event called Bags of Love during February. And that was basically where we had people come and donate different food, and they put it in a bag. It had like meat, vegetables, rice, and then we gave out around 200 or so of those bags to people in the community. So
nice. I love it. And the age range is significant. And Tracie, not to overlook what you said earlier, because I think that the shame piece that we carry sometimes as a result of taking on or taking in services is real. To be able to create a space where you may not carry that shame as much, because obviously you may still have some of it, but where you're not looked at as beneath or below, and you realize that it's in a loving environment is truly important. Once again, thank you guys for that. And you need to have creative approaches like that to realize that we're dealing with sensitive matters that most people don't really want to speak about. Food is a necessity. Not all of us have access to. So, I also like that what you said, that, it could be something to an equilibrium, but it can also be something that is a huge divider as well, because not everyone has access to it. So that just highlights why the services that you guys are providing are even more important. So.
Thank you. Yeah. And I think that with the kids, one thing that we found this year is that a lot of our kids they're in middle school now, and our program is more geared towards, as Takora said, the under 12. So we try to always be creative and figure out solutions instead of closed doors. So now what we've been working on is trying to figure out a middle school, and we have even a high school program, so that the kids can stay with us if they want to. And most of the kids do still want to come. We're also technology free, which I think is important for you to know. And because of that, many of the middle and high schoolers are like, this is boring. There's nothing to do, but what we try to talk to them about is, just, we only have a few hours together. Let's make the best of this time, and let's talk to each other, and to have great role models like Takora. And we have a lot of staff that we're all different ages, and the kids really are surrounded, I hope, by people that they not only feel comfortable with, but are inspired by. And Takora, I don't know if you want to talk about your creative writing class, but that's something that's just really important. And she has a lot of the older kids in. So just a way to kind of pull them together and, keep them coming, keep them fed and keep them, feeling the love.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Cora, I would love to hear about the creative writing class. That'll lead me right into my next segment, actually.
Awesome. Okay. So me and a coworker, Crystal, decided to start a creative writing class. I am a writer. I write poetry. I have a blog. I also published a book. So writing is a huge passion of mine. And I figured that writing is also another way to release emotions. And so I wanted to work with a group of girls and kind of get them in the habit of writing things that spoke close to them. So for the first portion of the creative writing class, we did a lot of poetry, a lot of journaling entries. And then towards the middle and end, we actually decided to write a script. So every kid was able to write their own movie or show script. And yeah, that's kind of what we've been working on. I'm hoping to keep it going and to keep, incorporating ideas. And yeah.
Nice. Was that in collaboration at all with what was that? FX Films? What is the
Youth FX?
Yeah. What
Yeah,
was that
so
in collaboration with them?
it was completely separate, but honestly, they kind of were the reason why I thought of the creative writing, thought of the screenwriting portion, because they are into that. So we actually took a tour with the kids. So fingers crossed, hoping that once we do finish the script, maybe the next portion will be the kids making their movies.
Nice. Yes, as soon as you said it, it made me immediately think about that program as well. But writing is so dynamic because it gives us a space to identify how we really feel. And it helped me to navigate myself as a young man coming out of the Arbor Hill community there as well, to be able to find my voice in a way that I'm sure more young Black males are actually identifying with and dealing with as well, where we're not always taught to be vulnerable. We're not always taught to expose our feelings. Writing gave me an opportunity to feel comfortable expressing my thoughts, my opinions. And the better I got at writing, the more it helped me to verbalize how I felt as well. So kudos to you and Crystal for coming up with that idea, because writing is truly one of those door openers for us as young adults, even adults, but to find who we are as individuals. So much success to you guys on that one. And I can't wait to hear about once you get to the filming side of these scripts that you guys are coming up with.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, let me see. I'm going to ask you guys a couple of other questions off of the cafe as well, because like I said earlier, it is a Women's History Month. So, I want to find out more about you guys. I'm going to ask you some general questions. One of my favorite questions from season 2 that I've asked all of the interviewees is, how do you define success? So, Cora, I'm gonna come to you first. If you were to conceptualize what does success mean to you, how would you conceptualize that? How would you define success?
That's such a hard question, because I mean, success is one of these things where it can mean something completely different for each and every person. Some people may see success as in a career aspect, or they may see success financially. But I think for me personally, success is being just content with where you are in life. So I would say here at the cafe, I think we're extremely successful because, we're making a difference. We're helping people. So yeah, that's kind of a question where success can have so many definitions. But for me personally, success is just being content and happy with where you are.
Love it. And Tracie, I some of the questions I'm going to ask maybe one of you guys, but this is not one of those questions. I want the answer from both of you. So Tracie, I'm coming to you as this one as well. If you were to define success for you, and I know you're a lifelong a member of the community, but I'm sure your definition may have evolved over the years. But how would you define success for yourself?
I think at this point in my life, success is just being able to lay my head on the pillow at night and know that I did something good or kind, and that I'm content with, you use the word content. That's a good word, content with, what I did that day, and that I hopefully didn't hurt anybody or, take my anger out on anyone and just was a kind person. My answer would have been different 10 years ago. It would have been different 20 years ago. But today where I am, it's just really about just being, just at the end of the day, knowing I did good work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And as you guys evolve, because it's our evolution as individuals is a never ending process. But do you give yourself permission to change? Tracie, I'm going to come to you for this one. Do you give yourself permission to change, or do you typically find it hard to take on new tasks or new aspirations that you may have?
Well, I am like, I don't know if you would agree, but I have an awful lot of energy, and I am, I've always been, and I think it goes with being, in the communications field. I just feel like I'm always thinking of things and wanting to be creative and wanting to learn, definitely wanting to learn. And I have 6 kids and 6 grandkids. And so what kids have taught me, I mean, I've always worked with kids also, but what kids have taught me is that they're really the leaders. And if you follow their lead, you'll end up in a really beautiful place. So, our days are always really different. You never know what's going to happen here. And I think I'm glad that I'm the type of person that can adapt to change. I didn't grow up in a traditional household. And so that taught me to think fast, think on my feet, and sort of accept what you have in front of you and make the best of it. So I think that change is, it's pretty, I invite change. I find it exciting.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Takora, is that one you wanted to chime in on?
Yeah, sure. Can you just repeat the question, please, and I can chime in?
So, thinking about how we change as people, do you give yourself permission to change? Yes or no, or why or why not? As a person, do you give yourself permission to change?
That's such a great question. I definitely feel like I do. It's something that I've gotten better at. So I first started off wanting to be a news anchor. I was set in stone that I was going to be on NBC News. I was going to be on ESPN. That was just what my life plan was. But I realized that in life, there's not always a specific destination. You're kind of supposed to just go with the flow, and it's a journey. So I've been getting really good at just going with the flow and changing. I mean, I never thought I'd end up working for nonprofit. I'll tell you the truth. It wasn't even in the back of my mind, but I definitely do give myself permission to change. I don't know. Yeah, I feel like I do.
Okay. Yeah. And I think it's important, because I think they say every 5 years, us as individuals, I know they say for couples, they say every 5 years we're always changing ourselves. So, as Tracie alluded to earlier, you have to have the flexibility to embrace change, because if you don't, you can get left behind. Think about how much technology has changed how we interact with one another through this COVID-19 global pandemic. Right now I have the capacity to interview you guys from the comfort of my home in Maryland, where before it would have been, I'm probably right there on the premises with you guys. But technology has changed, and it's forced all of us to find new ways to adapt, to find new ways to be creative. And if you don't go along with change can have a way of swallowing you up and leaving you behind. So I'm glad both of you guys do embrace change. I think it's important. But let me see. This one is actually a topic that's near and dear to my heart. And with you guys being directly in the South End area, I do want to ask this question because I know the South End and everything that's going on down there with Perry and the Mission. It's always something that's going on in the South End area, as well as the entire Albany community. So let me not limit it there. But one of the things our community has been heavily hit by or impacted by is gun violence. So I always like to ask the question because I think that it affects each of us differently. Some of us have maybe have never been directly impacted by it. But how have you been impacted by gun violence in the Capital District area? And what are your thoughts or suggestions of what should be done to minimize that.
So
Either one of you guys can choose to step up to.
oh,
You can
yeah,
go.
I don't want to, the one, when I think about that and when people ask about that, what always comes to mind for me with our kids and our families is that a very high percentage of our children and our families are either related to someone who's been shot or someone who is the shooter. So it's not, it's not just looking at, I think that many people are victims of violence in a lot of different ways. And it's not just, being somebody that's gotten wounded or gotten hurt or has died as a result of violence. And so many of our kids have family members who are incarcerated as a result of being involved with some gun or other type of violence. And so it's really a tough issue because I love our families, and it's really hard when one of our families or one of our staff members has to say goodbye to one of their children who has died or one of their children who is going to be incarcerated. And so it's really kind of, it's very hard to answer that question because it impacts us in so many different ways. And it also is it's a part of the kids' conversations and their lives that is, on one hand, I'm so happy that they feel like they can talk about it with each other because, we're sort of all in this together. But on the other hand, as a mom and you're a dad and, we have kids around, it's like, shucks, I wish that this wasn't part of our conversation. So that's why that's hard. I'm so grateful for Snug and for all the folks that are in the community doing the work to just educate, talk to people, come up with solutions. I'm really happy when I hear that there's programs that are opening up for folks that are formerly incarcerated and need some training or some programming. So yeah, it's been tough. Last year was real tough, and it's just hard to figure out how to talk about it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think that's fair too. It's hard to talk about it, but because it is something that impacts us so much, a lot of times as young adults, they don't have these spaces to unpack in a healthy way. And that's why, maybe a few months ago, I had made a post on Facebook and I was just saying that, learning how to deal with grief or loss is something that, we should be better educated on earlier in life because everyone is impacted differently. Right. It's not just someone who might have been directly impacted by it. It might be the family member who's missing somebody. It might have to be going through the experiences with a loved one that's incarcerated and now having to hear the stories that they're experiencing in jail. So that's why it affects us in so many different ways. But the earlier that we start to navigate or talk to our young adults about it, and to let them know that the consequences and repercussions for different decisions is real, but also, there's so much more that you could be doing, right? I know for me, once I realized I could have a life outside of just the 4-block radius that I used to be in from Judson to Lexington, we're just like, wow, you know what? There's a life outside of here. I can do more. It's not just limited to the people who I'm hanging around here. Right. And it was just like, oh, okay. And it's the same thing. I tell people from the kids from the inner city are some of the most resilient kids you'll ever meet. But also, once you turn on their light bulb, it's almost impossible to put it out. So, when they have mentors like the two of you involved in the community that care about their feelings, that care about their family, that care about their overall success, it is impactful and it makes a difference and you serve a purpose. So just in case there's any days, because I work with kids for a very, very long time as well. When you do feel overwhelmed or overworked, just truly realize that, the work that you're doing is thankless and priceless. And I know in the world of nonprofit, you might not always get all of the money that you probably could going to other areas. That was something I struggled with running my mentoring program there for a while. But it is some of the best work you can ever produce. So again. But
Thank you. Yes, our just this past week, we try to have a lot of guest speakers in. Crystal,
Mhm.
Cora mentioned, our assistant director is bringing some really amazing speakers in for the kids. And just last week, we had a firefighter and an officer who works in one of the local prisons. And they talked to the kids and they were so inspiring, and they asked the kids all what they wanted to be when they grew up. And then they both shared, the firefighter actually grew up in the building where our space is. He said, I lived right here in this building, you know. And then the kids, the officer said he lived in the South End also. So it was just a really wonderful moment. The kids were like hanging on their words, and they just were their message was basically what you said, like, we're not putting your light bulb out, like, you shine and do your thing, and the sky's the limit, which is really what the kids need to hear.
Nice. Shout out to Lonnie Love or Mr. Griffin himself. I know he was the sheriff officer.
Oh yeah.
And I think the firefighter was one of his best friends there. I had Lonnie on season 1. But him and his brothers grew up right there in the South End on Morton Avenue. And they were pretty close with my older brothers there as well. So I seen them, and it warmed my heart. So
isn't that great? Yeah. It was really nice. And it was nice for them to also, you know, these two guys, they hadn't seen each other in a while. So it was just it just felt like like a little reunion. Everybody's talking and they were sharing stories, and it was really a nice day.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, Cora, I'm coming to you for my next question.
Okay.
Like I said, this is Women's History Month. This was also Women's International Day. So I'm coming to you for inspiration on this next question. If there was something that let me rephrase this. Okay. Thinking of the younger Takora, what is something that you wish someone would have told the younger version of yourself that you now know of today that would have been impactful to hear as a young adult? So thinking of your younger version of yourself, what is something you wish someone would have told you?
I wish someone would have told me that it's okay to not have it all figured out. I mean, I'm only 23, and I thought graduating college, I was supposed to have this game plan, and it was supposed to be the way that I thought it was. But I'm learning that that's just not how life works. You just don't know where you'll end up. So I wish someone would have sat me down and said, look, it's okay to have no clue what you want to do. It's okay to change careers 3 times. It's okay to do things that you never saw yourself doing. And yeah, that's kind of what I wish someone told me. Because it's stressful. I mean, graduating college, I really thought that the life that I chose was going to be the one that I was going to pursue. And that's just not happening anymore.
Okay. And then I guess that ties back into giving ourselves permission to change, that earlier question as well. And I think the situation you just described, Cora, is pretty similar to probably most of our paths. For most of us that have gone on to school and graduated, the areas and where we are today is far away from where we started, because life has a way of changing. Your experiences have a way of opening up doors. And as long as you stay committed to going with the flow, you'll be ultimately right where God designed you to be at the perfect time. And so all of your experiences are going to come together at some point. You don't know what that point is going to be just yet, because, you know, you're still earlier in your career, but they all make perfect sense. You know, my first job out of school, I was working for Mediation Matters, which is still around there in Albany as well. So I did mediation for Albany County Family Court, for Penn's diversion with Albany County Probation. And mediation was something that was near and dear to me, right? And after that experience, I decided to go ahead and start my own business, which, like I said, I ran a nonprofit, a 501c3 organization for 9-10 years there. And I also worked for the federal government at the same time, which I still work for now. So, you know, but your path will change, your experiences will change. So be open to them. And I would say this to Tracie, don't kill me for this one, but I would say, you know, one thing I wish I would have learned, Cora, is be willing to take on new opportunities, be willing to travel, be willing to move. I know you're already doing it now, coming in from Massachusetts, but there's so many opportunities. The world is really as big as you make it or as small as you make it, because there's more out there for you if you're willing to open up the door and walk through it. So I'm excited for you at this point, because I didn't know what I was going to do either, but it was just like, okay, I figured if I stick around long enough, it'll all make sense.
It'll work out. Yep.
Yeah, it'll work out. It'll work out. Let me see. I'm gonna hit you guys with a couple more questions. I know you guys are busy, but I'm gonna let you go. Here's one of my favorite questions from season 1 that I used to ask everybody. So I'm gonna ask both of them to you both. Tracie, I'm gonna come to you first because you've been in the Capital District a lot longer than Cora. But what's your favorite place to visit in Albany and why?
Wow, that's a hard question. My favorite place to visit in Albany. Oh my, you got me. I don't know. I've been here for so long. I feel like I've been everywhere, I mean, I love the parks and the playgrounds in Albany. I really do. I love the pocket parks. I love Crank Park. I just love the pool at Crank Park, the fountains and the memories. And so I really love Crank Park. I think, I don't know. That would be my best answer is the parks.
Okay. I will accept it. I'm an outdoor guy.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I will accept it. All right. And Cora, I know that you're relatively new to the area. So I am interested in finding what is your favorite place in the Albany community that you consider your safe haven? What's your favorite place to visit in Albany and why?
Oh, that's such a good question. My favorite place actually shut down last year. So, okay, so my favorite place, I'm not just saying this because I work at the cafe, but my absolute favorite place to go is actually a market. It's the South End Night Market. It's so much fun being there. It's just a bunch of vendors from the local area selling things from clothes. There's fashion designers there selling sage, selling food. It's just such a great event and everyone's together. And it's when the weather's nice. It's usually during the summer and the fall. And it's just such a good environment.
Nice. Okay, I would definitely accept that as well. Tracie, I'm coming back to you in the parks only because have you checked out, well, it's named after my mentor, Brother Yusuf there, but have you checked out the park on the corner of Livingston and Judson?
Is it the one across from Tivoli Apartments?
Yes.
It's beautiful. We were just talking about that the other day. They have a structure. They put all these new, they have that big spider web, it's like a big spider climbing thing. It's gorgeous. We were just talking about that the other day. Yeah, it's really nice. Yes.
It has quickly become my favorite outdoor spot there in Albany. And it's right down the street from my home there. I own a home right there on Judson. So, so to go there to see what it used to look like. Because we used to do testing there at Tivoli. It's called the Patroon Creek. As part of my math and science classes, our teachers would bring us there to do water testing and doing velocity and stuff tied back into math. And that's how I got introduced to it. But to see what it looks like now, it's just like, yeah.
It's a beautiful playground. And they so have you seen where Philip Schuyler is? Have you been there when they had the sheep and the llama? They had llamas there. So you can take the path back down. They're fixing up that area that used to be like the little softball field, right? Yep. And there's some paths and that leads to the water. But on the right-hand side, there's Philip Schuyler, and they have apartments there now. And so behind there, right by the fence, you could see, now I don't know if they're still there, but there were sheep. And I mean, I'm embarrassed to say, I don't know if it was a llama or an alpaca, but it looked like those kinds of animals. Yeah, it was super cool, right in Albany.
Yeah. And I think that the animals are still there.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm almost 100% certain of it. And, it's a great spot to go snowshoeing to. We used to do all types of things there. Thanks to Brother Jeff, who always wanted to get me outdoors. But yeah. All right. And here is my final question for both of you, actually. Take that back. I want to ask you one other question before the final question. It's on entrepreneurship. And I'm going to do this because, Cora, I know you're fresh out of school as well. And the new generation, especially for mine, one of the things that is pretty big right now is being able to talk about finances, being able to talk about therapy. These are all typically taboo topics within the community that most people never talk about. So one of the other ones is entrepreneurship. So do you think that entrepreneurship is something that should be part of the high school curriculum nationwide? Why and why not?
Oh, I 100% think that it should be a part of the high school, maybe even started in middle school. I just feel like entrepreneurship is something that it gives students an option. We have college, and college is not for everyone. And then we have trade, but it's okay. What if trade and college doesn't work out? What are your next steps? So entrepreneurship just gives you that flexibility to turn your skills into your passions, into a job. And I just think that it's a great opportunity for especially students of color coming from inner city schools. I think it's the perfect kind of segue for a career, so to say, because I know in my community, not everyone went to college. I went to a high school where maybe my graduating class only like maybe 15% went to college. So I think it just really gives students another option, another career choice. And yeah, I 100% think that it should be included.
Okay. All right. Final question.
Yeah. So
Sort of.
I think of you as an entrepreneur for sure.
Final question for you both. Tracie, I'm coming to you first. What about your life's path are you most proud of?
What about my life's path that I'm most proud of? I have to say that I'm most proud of, you talked about the kids being resilient, and I've talk about like community being so important in terms of helping and raising children and everything. I would say that I'm most proud that that somebody saved me and put me on a track that I never thought I would be on, and that people continued to support me, and I stayed on that path when I could have veered. And so I think that I'm certainly proud of where I am today, because I'd never imagined it.
I love it. And that's a really good one. That's a really good one. All right, Cora, I'm coming to you. Same question. I know that you said one, you're still in the early stages of your career, but thinking about your life up until this point, what is the thing that you feel that you're most proud of?
I would say I'm most proud of how unafraid I am to jump into a new career. Yeah, I'm 23, but in all honesty, I've worked like in 5 different fields. I've worked in sales. I've worked in local news stations. I just really like how willing I am to try something new and not be afraid to dive all into it. So I would say that's what I'm most proud of.
Nice. And I'm glad you just brought back up newscasting as well. Just going to remind me, as a follow-up to this interview, I'm going to send you the information for Sheena Collier, who's great connector. But there's also another young alum who just graduated from my alma mater in Charlotte, North Carolina, Johnson C. Smith, who's also from Albany as well, Mr. Craig Cannon. But he's also into broadcasting as well. And I believe he's now with the station in Charlotte. But just in case, if, like I said, we're always changing, we're always evolving. If you want to get back into that door with those communication backgrounds or that communication. But one, I just really wanted to thank you both. I know both of you guys are extremely busy, so I won't hold you up anymore. I really wanted to thank you both, because what you're doing, the work of the cafe, is truly impactful. And I'm not just saying that because you guys are in front of me. I became a fan of what you were doing before I ever got a chance to meet either one of you guys. So it is a thankless job. a lot of times. And if you were to take your talents to South Beach, as LeBron said before, you know, you might be able to get buku dollars doing it privately or for someone else. But I am thankful that you guys are doing what you are doing. Tracie, I'm thankful that you decided to stay on the path that you were, and you did the same thing that somebody else did for you, which was to give other people a chance, because the work that what you're doing with the cafe is truly important. So I want to wish success to both of you guys moving forward. I also want to say, as I started off the interview by saying happy Women's International Day, happy Women's History Month, because you two guys are a part of Women's History Month, and thank you for being on the BACK community.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
This was fun. Yeah.
Good. Well, listen, I look forward to getting your story out to the people. The two of you guys have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank you,
You
you
too.
too.
Thank you so much.
All right, you're welcome. Bye-bye.
Keep climbing up the ladder. A Black Lives Matter. It matter. So all you young people, give it all. 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 Matter. A Black Lives Matter.